Hey, Justin Popovich here. Today I was working on a New Year's resolution product. It's that time of year for it, and it really got me thinking about when people sit down to do the resolutions. It's the same thing over and over again every year. I tried all these things last year and they failed, and people buy gym memberships and they go in January, and by February, the middle or so of February, the gym's dead again. Nobody's going in. It's the same story every year. It's kind of comical, really, the number of times, at least for me, I've revisited that story. But it's true for a lot of us. I mean, if we're all honest with ourselves, I'm sure we've all done it to a level. But for me, it's different this year. Right now, at the time of shooting this video, I have made permanent changes in my life that I wanted to make these things for years and years and years, like 2+ decades. Okay, but for the past 14 months, for some new reasons, the changes that I wanted to make have actually stuck, and have stuck for the long term. Because for me, 14 months is a long enough of a test period to safely say that I'm officially a new person. I have new habits. And I don't want to get into everything that's changed for me. The biggest one is my health and fitness. For basically my whole life, I was literally the up and down yo-yo. I wasn't supremely struggling with weight, but I was never happy. I would never, look in the mirror and be excited. I was most often frustrated, annoyed with myself. And more importantly than the exterior results was I was not happy with my habits. I would go a couple of weeks and, eat really healthy and then binge and drink and do all these stupid things that felt good in the moment, but it wasn't who I wanted to be, but it's who I was. And that's the key here, is it comes down to self-image. And Psycho-Cybernetics is a book I always talk about. If you haven't heard me talk about it, now's your time to look it up. Maxwell Maltz is the author. Psycho-Cybernetics talks all about your self-image. Who do you see yourself as? Who are you? And the self-image you have of yourself will ultimately dictate what you do on a daily basis, and what you do on a daily basis determines your results. So before 14 months, so 14 months ago and before that, clearly my self-image was not where I wanted it to be, even though there was these things I was aspiring towards. I wanted to be the kind of person who had discipline, who worked out on a regular basis, who was highly motivated and wanted to lead people through actions, not just words. But I didn't always live that way. And again, my physical appearance was one result. More importantly, my habits were a result that I was not proud of at all. And it was a source of real pain and frustration for me. So looking at and I knew self-image stuff before that, but for whatever reason, 14 months ago when I started changing, things permanently changed. And so right now I just wanted to revisit, now that it's been 14 months, and I've had a chance to kind of think about it, and there's really a number of factors, and I can't necessarily pinpoint every little thing that I did to make permanent changes, but I want to talk about some of the major things that I know for sure worked. And if you're watching this, and you're stuck, or you're going through kind of the situation I just described in one or more areas of your life, then I hope that at least some of these things can help you. So the first thing was I actually had to get emotionally attached to this new self-image. So I understood consciously that I wanted to become a new person, but I had to get so super involved in that idea that it was more than just an interest and something that, okay, for the next, from now on, I'm this new guy, and for the next week, I'm just going to starve myself for some stupid, short-term result. But what it was for me was, who do I actually want to be? And I started writing down every single day in a journal the kind of person, not just the results, but the kind of person I wanted to be, the kind of characteristics I wanted to display. And I actually allowed myself to, and this was very difficult at first, and it got easier over time, but I allowed myself to actually get an emotional excitement reaction, feel the excitement of, man, how awesome is it going to be when I become this person? And I could close my eyes and put on some music, or even just for a moment, feel that way. And then I would start going on early morning walks. So I would do some reading, I would get myself kind of, feeling inspired and motivated. I'd write these things down on a daily basis. I would go on long walks in the morning before anyone else was up, and do that again, start thinking more and more about it. I started downloading different motivational programs. Specifically, I started watching speakers and listening to people and reading people who demonstrated the characteristics of the kind of person I wanted to become. And it was almost like I was living with this person, or in their sphere of influence. I was in their circle of friends, even though I didn't necessarily know these people. I was reading enough of their content and absorbing enough of their material, which in itself is mind-boggling. 50 years ago or even less, you couldn't do this. This is stuff we have at our fingertips right now, and most often we waste this by going to YouTube and watching, silly, funny videos or whatever. I was using it to almost, put myself into these circles of these people who were amazing, and I wanted to be like them. And over time, doing this every single day and generating those feelings of being that new person, slowly but surely over time, my self-image literally started to transform. But I never actually knew it at the time. And it's really now, 14 months later, as I revisit, I can see and I can think back to certain moments where I made a decision to actually stick to the new person that I wanted to become when it was just as easy to go back. So, if there was a party and everybody's going to go drinking and, do all these unhealthy things, I didn't actually want to do it. It wasn't that I had to force myself not to go. I was now kind of shifting. It's like, that's not really who I am anymore. And I remember literally thinking that to myself. So it was very subtle. And there's no real how-to guide on this. But that's the key. So getting emotionally attached to where you want to go, and then surrounding yourself with input, whether it's through sight, through physical environment. If you can actually get physically around people that are like that, great. For me, that wasn't really possible because I have a home-based business and I take my kids to school every day. I can't go venturing out and spend weeks at a time with other people. I can't do that. But what I can do is download videos, listen to audios, read books, watch interviews, over and over and over again, and see these people that are demonstrating the characteristics I want to be and emulate that almost subconsciously. And the more I felt that and the more I practiced it, the easier it became. And now it's just natural that this is the kind of person who I am. And so I'm not really giving you necessarily a number of tangible steps or how-tos here, but I think you see what I'm getting at is there is a severe amount, a huge amount of effort that you have to put into this process, especially in the beginning. And like I said, it can be very difficult to get emotionally attached, excited about where you want to go, especially when you're not there now. You're looking in the mirror and you're like, geez, I'm not there now. How do you actually feel? How do you create the feelings of what it would be like to get there? And you really got to work on that. Another thing I did, I've mentioned this before as well, is I started getting up super early in the morning. I started getting up at 4:30, then 4 a.m., then 3:30, then 3 a.m. And there's a number of reasons why, but the physical act of pushing myself through that pain of getting up, it's hard. But getting used to that and committing to doing that disciplined over and over and over again was conditioning myself to do the things that I had to do to change. And over time, again, that became easy as well. But change is not easy, and none of this stuff is easy. But if you want to change your self-image, which will in turn change the person you are, and who you act like on an ongoing basis, which will then change the results you get in your life, then you have to do this. And you can experiment with this at small levels. It might be, like I said, writing things down, the things you want to get to in your life, the levels you want to achieve, the kind of person you want to become, and just for even a minute, feel that. Feel what it would feel like to be there, and start feeling that more often, and then pump it up. Start getting up early, start spending more time on it, to the point where now some days I'll spend 3 or 4 hours doing this stuff. It may seem ridiculous, but I do it. It's also part of my career path. It's what I'm doing for a living. You don't have to necessarily spend that much time, but you get the point here. So I hope this has helped you. My rambling's on. I'm going round and round in circles, so I'm going to cut it off now. You get my point. But try this out. The self-image is huge. Study your self-image. Try a few of these things. See where it takes you. Even 3 months from now, come back and revisit this video or this exercise, and I'd love to hear how it helped you. Thanks for watching.